Hey y'all, it's Tammy, and we just finished a live stream on the other YouTube channel at TOS Legal, and it was a great conversation. And so I said, let me go ahead and skip the intro. I know we had about a minute and a half, but let's talk, right? Today, I want to talk about not just building something, but owning it, right? In the next few weeks, and I'll share some more details about it next week and the week after and continuously, honestly. I'll be having events that are focused on helping us understand estate planning, legacy building, wills, trusts, LLCs, trademarks, all the things that I talk to you about anyways. But here's what I've learned. I'm on my soapbox. Here is what I've learned about the way people move and what we think. All right. So oftentimes I've gone on the journey of sharing mindset things. I've gone on the journey of sharing legal strategy. And what I have found is oftentimes many people get stuck in survival mode and they get stuck in building mode. So oftentimes they are building for the purposes of surviving. Now, you might be asking yourself, hey, Tammy, what do you mean by that? That might look like you are consistently trying to figure out, okay, how do I get more money? How do I get more money? How do I get more money? Which is fine. I'd be trying to ask myself, how do I get more money? Right? So I'm not knocking that. It also might look like you have like 800 different businesses, right? And yay for the creative. There is nothing wrong with having lots of businesses. There's nothing wrong with getting more money. There's nothing more with accumulating more. But when do you take a step back to decide, now that I've built, how do I protect? Because what I have found is that in many instances, people are quick to build, quick to accumulate, quick to add. But the transition from a mindset perspective, from survival, right, into ownership, survival into sustainability is difficult. And it's often because we create this sense of, when I accomplish X, then I'll be ready to protect. When I get this much money, then I'm going to invest in this. When I become, and you know what? It's not even like people actually set specific goals. Because if people often set specific goals, that would be better. If it was like, once I attain, this level of profit in my business, then I'll get this protection, it would be different. But people don't even do that. What do I see? I see people who have decided that, hey, when I become rich, when my business becomes big, when my business becomes X, Y, and Z, that's when they decide to join. That's when they decide to invest. They're still in that builder mentality. But if you stay in builder mentality and survival mentality, you never get to sustainability. You never actually build something that you can transfer. So let me share something with you. For example, when I have sat down with people who are trying to sell their businesses, or I've spoken with people, specifically folks who I know who help law firms build it, because for lawyers are the worst. Lawyers are the worst. If you're a lawyer, tap in, you're the worst. My group of people, I can say it because I'm one of y'all, lawyers and people who are stuck in, again, survival mode. When you ask them, okay, how their business is run, everything is dependent on them. They're very much in superwoman, superman mode, where it's like, I do this, 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 I do this. But if you ever sit down and you talk to someone who is trying to help someone sell a business, the first thing that they tell you to do is build your business with systems. Because here's the thing, if you try and transfer a business that is totally dependent on you, the profitability of that business decreases, because you're still in builder mindset. You're still in survival mindset. Even when, again, you're like, okay, let me get this job, let me get that job, let me get this job, right? Getting the money isn't the problem. It's always been keeping it, right? It's how do you sustain? How do you move, again, from a place of accumulation to sustainability, right? So this also might look like you got 15 different streams of income, but they're all disconnected. And again, they're all relying on you. The actual profitability of that business, the actual ability to maintain a lifestyle, if you're the one who's working all by yourself and you have nothing that's making money for you, all of that decreases your profitability. It decreases your financial net worth. It makes the things that you're doing less valuable. So you have to switch that mindset, and you have to get to a place where you give yourself permission to switch that mindset. That's what I have seen to be the greatest challenge. Most of the time, we haven't given ourselves the permission to move like an owner, to move like a CEO, to move as though you have something to protect. And here's the thing that I want you to think about, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in my program next week, but isn't what you have now and the life that you're living now worth protecting? Even if it's not a lot, think about what you have, and if you were to lose it, is it not still valuable? That's how you switch. You pause and you reflect and you realize, yo, what I have is worthy now. Friends, what you have is worthy for protection now. It's worthy of pause now. You are worth taking care of now. You don't have to wait until X, Y, and Z happens. I'll give you a life example. When I, before, because it's not my mentality now it's more so figuring out the time. But there used to be a time where I thought about working out as, and having a gym membership as kind of a luxury thing. Right? Like, oh, that's for the big bosses. Not really, but this is years ago. But again, it was one of those things where it felt like, oh, I'm going to do this eventually. But then what I realized is that, hey, deciding that these things are not luxuries, but giving myself permission to say, this is not a luxury, this is a necessity, needed to happen, because guess what? My health was worth protecting now. Right? It's always been worth protecting. But again, when we have that survival, that only building mindset, we don't allow ourselves to access this other part of our brain. We don't allow ourselves to access the resources that are available, the information that's available, because we're still waiting for this moving target. We're still waiting for our businesses to reach this destination that's called rich, or this destination where it's called X, Y, and Z, right? We're still waiting for ourselves to become, I don't know what it is, but it keeps moving. And because it keeps moving, we never, ever actually access it. What if the next level that you were talking about was just a matter of permission? What if you decided that you were ready for it today? Right now, of course, there are things, yes, you need to get licenses. Yes, you need to take care of things, because there's a whole nother conversation happening on the other side of the internet where you got people who are not, legacy minded, who are doing these things. But for the most part, we want to make sure that people are really considering what it looks like to move from this just building mentality and just surviving mentality to ownership. And there's a couple of things I want before I kind of wrap up, because again, we just did another live YouTube channel. You should definitely check it out. It was great. But there's some things that I want to make sure I share. Number one, there's a secret trap. There's a trap, and you need to be aware of it. Right? Cultures make this the habit because it allows certain people to stay in power, and it keeps other people underneath other people's power. Right? It is a matter of permission most of the time. You decide that this is worth me protecting now, and I will take the steps to protect it now. Right? And I'm a woman of faith. So what I started to think about the story of Joshua and Caleb, right? And so in the scriptures, it talks about how when it came time to enter into the promised land, right? To be a generational changer, right? To do something that had never been done before in their generation, to enter into a new season. There were people who did not give themselves permission to dream. They did not give themselves permission to see themselves conquering the giants that were in front of them. They did not give themselves permission to think that it was even accessible and possible for them. So when they got to the promised land and they surveyed it, they said, we can't take this on. Those people are too powerful for us. This is too big. This is too hard, right? That's what they did. That's how they moved. But there were two people, Joshua and Caleb, and the scriptures tell us that they had a different spirit inside of them. They had a different attitude about them. They moved differently. And what was the difference? It wasn't that they came from a different place. They saw the same things. They experienced the same things. But these two gentlemen decided that they would give themselves permission, right? The spirit on the inside of them unlocked permission, and they said, we can attain this. And even though they had to wait, even though they had to stay with people who weren't necessarily on the same mindset, the fact that they decided and they stayed committed to this new vision of what was possible, those two accessed promise. They were able to truly be legacy builders. They truly changed generations. They were generational changers, right? So if that's what you're trying to do, if that's what you're trying to accomplish, if that's what you're trying to become, you have to give yourself permission. You have to move from a place of just thinking about ownership or just thinking about building, right? And just toiling and not thinking about working towards ownership and what that looks like and taking the actual steps to do that. So with all of that being said, I want to invite you to take some legacy moves. I want to invite you to take some legacy steps. And for the folks on Instagram, I'm going to do one more live stream because I want to talk about what I didn't talk about with y'all on the YouTube channel because the Instagram people missed it. But I want to invite you to a couple of different events. And so let's talk about that real quickly. All right, so we have two things coming up. We have Legacy Moves, Make Legacy Moves. It's a series. Wednesday, May 13th, I invite you to register. It will not be on YouTube. It will not be on YouTube. I invite you to register for Legacy Moves. The first one is Securing Your Wealth. It's about your personal assets, right? And then the second one is for business, right? So that's protecting your business assets. One is May 13th. The other is May 20th. They are both Wednesdays during the daytime. If you register for these events, you will get access to the recordings. So you want to make sure you register. You want to make sure that you register for both of these events and that you stay connected to what we have going on. So, yeah, I have the information about those. If you want to make sure that you are able to register, I want to invite you to register by visiting www.toslegal.com/events. Links to both of those events are found there, and you can register and secure your seat. All right, this was a short conversation, first live stream on the Own Elevation channel. So if you found this valuable, I want you to make sure you invite your friends. And I thank you for being part of the conversation because I know you was in the room. For those of you on YouTube, 2 channels, choose one, subscribe, appreciate you. And I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.